I
and
completely agree.
not in it. It's just like talking about, I mean, the internet's a fad, right? Website
Yeah, exactly.
fad. Social media is going to go away. Like that's
Yeah.
dumb. I mean, all those things are not true. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Agreed.
AI will impact our space. I mean, I sent you, I think, a slide deck from an AI symposium I went
Yeah.
to. It was super interesting. AI is going to change what we do, whether you like it or not. So you better start playing in it.
100%. Either you're gonna be a part of it or you get left behind. So today on the podcast, we are incredibly honored to have Jason White. Jason is not only the managing partner of Fay Myers Motorsports in Denver, Colorado, which is just a powerhouse of a dealership, but he is also the VP of Financial Services for the Schomp Automotive Group, which is an auto group that has 13 dealerships across 3 different states. He's on the board of directors of a program called AtoZ Sync, which actually powers the automotive side of selling on Amazon. And with that experience, he created an incredible industry specific tool called One Dealer Lane that he's going to explain more about in the podcast. I think you're going to absolutely love this episode. He thinks very similar to how we think, how the industry needs to evolve and some of the ways to make it happen. And he is charging forward, not just with the tools he's built so far, but with some of the theories and concepts he's using to continue to move forward. So, we really enjoyed recording this podcast. We had a great time talking to Jason. I look forward to many more conversations with Jason and hopefully have him on the show even more. So enjoy the show. Please like and share it. Send this to anybody you think should be seeing it. If you would like to be on the show, have any suggestions for the show, please reach out to dealerlab@onyx.io and enjoy this episode. My morning started off, and up until right at the beginning of this, has been working in Claude Code sessions with like 5 different terminal windows going all morning long. So I'm sure that you know the feeling of crazy AI work like that.
I
But
do.
want to start off. Actually, I'll introduce you guys since you don't know each other. This will be an easy one. This is Danny French.
Yeah, hey Jason, I've heard a lot about you, all great things.
Oh, he's
Really
kind of
excited to talk to you.
Jason's kind of a celebrity in
Sure
the
is.
industry.
Far from it.
What? Everyone knows you. I remember there was a time, I think I was sitting in Root Down in DIA in Denver International Airport, and I was talking to Billy Nickel. Me and Billy were flying out of Denver together.
Was that whenever we said we wanted to get Jason on the podcast and Billy said, no chance. He's not going to do it.
But
I had a very strong standing. I'm not ever doing a podcast.
yeah, and look at you, man. You were on GarageCast a few weeks ago. You're on the tour now.
Doing the circuit.
Yeah, we'll get you on Joe Rogan soon. We'll give him a call, get you on that. But we were talking about that, and the guy behind us must also know you, and apparently texted you, was like, hey, these guys are talking about you. And so
That's actually true.
yeah, the guy leans over and taps Billy on the shoulder. He's like, Jason's got people everywhere. So yeah, that is, you can say celebrity now. That's pretty wild.
That was actually funny. I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine was flying home, and he said, "There's some guys here at the bar talking about you."
Well, good. Hey, it was all good stuff.
It was funny.
So all good stuff. Well, there's so much to talk about. You wear a million different hats. So before I botch it all trying to explain it, can you just quickly tell Danny and the listeners kind of who are you? What, you're the VP of like 7 different things. So could you just tell me what your actual roles are in all these different companies?
Sure. I'll try and give you an overview. It changes constantly. So, obviously I am the managing partner of Fay Myers Motorcycle World. That's my baby. It's kind of where I cut my teeth on a lot of things. A large multi-line dealer in Colorado from the Myers family. We were acquired by another family in the Denver metro area, the Schomp family, in, October of 2004.
Mhm.
And are an automotive group, and we have 13 stores in 3 states, automotive stores.
Wow.
Highly successful stores. That family's on the 4th generation. The Myers family was, the Myers store started in 1948, and the Schomp family started in 1941.
Wow.
And kind of a cool, funny piece to this entire thing. We were the 99th Honda dealership in the United States for powersports for Honda.
Yeah.
And Mr. Myers, Fay Myers, our namesake, was offered the Honda automotive store. And he basically said, those things won't sell here in the United States, so we don't want it. And the Schomp family got that dealership, and they ended up acquiring us in 2004. It's kind of a funny small circle how it kind of came back around. So
No kidding.
I'm a VP for the Schomp Automotive Group. I started in a store and then worked my way up to the executive team. So they're a fourth generation family, a one price, one person, 1 hour concept. They're very unique in the space. I would say they're always on the bleeding edge. They own a software company. The current gentleman that's running the company, which is fourth generation, actually founded a software company called AtoZ Sync. And he was the pioneer in the automotive space to create single point of contact sales process, which means the person you speak to on the phone is the same person that greets you at the front, is the same person that does your transaction from start to finish.
Yeah.
And delivers your car and does everything. But in doing that, he realized that he needed to create a software to allow a salesperson, we call them client advisors, to actually facilitate the sale from start to finish, because you're in different systems, and he needed one system allowed for a cohesive sales process.
Yeah.
So he founded and built AtoZ Sync in his basement, and we launched it in our stores. Excuse me. And his mother was the pioneer of One Price, his mother and father. But then he was the pioneer of single point of contact and formed the software company AtoZ Sync. I sit on the board of directors there and just help do things with them. And then over the years, we looked at trying to bring this stuff into the powersports space.
Yeah.
And we looked at AtoZ Sync and thought, how can we make this work in powersports? And there's lots of challenges and differences. While there's similarities in automotive and powersports, there's a lot of differences, obviously, in the technology stack, things that work. So we looked pretty heavily at trying to bring AtoZ Sync into our stores to figure out how to make it work, and figured out it wasn't going to work the way we wanted to. So we formed a new company called One Dealer Lane. And One Dealer Lane is now live and running in stores, and we've started to sell it to other stores. But it's designed to try and we learned a lot of what we did with AtoZ Sync and have improved, I would say, some things on our side. And I am one of the managing partners of One Dealer Lane. So
you were like the founder or co-founder of that as well. You started from scratch.
The concept and idea actually came from myself. Aaron Wallace is the founder, the founder of AtoZ Sync, and he is the current owner and operator of Schomp Automotive Group. So between him, myself, a gentleman by the name of Michael Graves, which owns a few powersports stores in the mountains.
Yeah, he's the one that Billy's working at, right? Billy's working with right now? Yep.
And we sat in a room and tried to decide how could we make the sync work. And through that, we worked on a whiteboard session and meeting a gentleman who was one of the original developers of App One. So his name is Parm. I won't try and butcher his actual name, but Parm was one of the original founders of App One and developed one of the first digital file transfer softwares that allowed Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's to transact power sports equipment, so ATVs, across the counter with hourly employees. And
how'd you meet that guy? How'd you run into him?
Completely random, actually.
Just one of those stories like you sat down next to him at a winery. Like,
no, not that one. But we were building our own warranty companies for Schomp Automotive Group. And through that, we were looking to create our own admin company, administer, do all this work to differentiate what we were doing in automotive. And through that, we were working with a company, Safeguard International, which Safeguard is I think the largest provider of OEM products and warranty products in the country. And they were looking at power sports as an opportunity possibly to get into. They had worked with Parm at App One. App One's became a pretty big company over time. I don't know if you know it, but App One was, it launched out of the Cabela's concept and got really big. It actually started in used cars initially, and then got into power sports and marine, and became really niche as far as allowing finance documents and files to move digitally. Funding much easier. It had got acquired by Reynolds multiple times. Got acquired by a couple other companies, then Reynolds got them. Really? And Reynolds went through a big, I would say, change for a period of time where the gentleman was involved in the largest tax evasion case, I think, in U.S. history. So App One got frozen on the shelf and wasn't progressing. So he was looking for a place to land. And through our discussions with the Safeguard, they were like, hey, you guys should talk to this guy. And he basically came out to Fay Myers, and we spent 2 days on a whiteboard and said, here's what we're thinking about doing. And he explained what he had done in the past.
Yeah.
And he said, that's easy. And that's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like the app one component was like one of the building blocks that you needed anyway to be able to build one dealer lane, or that 1 hour, one price.
Initially our whole goal with one dealer lane initially was to really streamline the entire process and digitize the process.
Mm-hmm.
And the financing side was the opportunity we saw to actually make some inroads.
Yeah.
So we talked about going down that path initially was our big drive. And then through our conversations with Safeguard was having a lot of conversations with OEMs, and like pretty much everyone in this space, they take automotive software and try and make it.
Yeah, of course.
And through that, they were administering a lot of large brands. I mean, the Volkswagen Group had acquired Ducati, so they had Ducati's warranty they were trying to administer. They had BMW's warranty they were administering. They were looking at Honda and doing stuff with Honda. They'd done stuff with Harley. And they were looking for a platform to allow them to properly rate and remit products. And while you can use automotive software somewhat, you can't really, it becomes an accounting nightmare on the backside.
Yeah.
Yeah. The VINs don't decode the same way. There's a lot of different variances inside our space. So
yeah, that's the biggest thing that I hear people complain about is it's VIN decoding. Is that the biggest hurdle? And what are the other hurdles that?
There's plenty of hurdles. I would say that's one of them for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I would also say, I mean, in the automotive space, DMS systems are much more open tracks and bi-directional APIs.
Yeah.
For things to
Oh
work.
man, bi-directional API. What an incredible idea.
Not allowed to in this industry.
No.
Don't even ask. But we can ask.
Yeah.
So we sat and talked about it, and Safeguard actually said, hey, we're looking at building some technology in this space. And they were looking to actually hire Parm. And so Aaron and I talked for a while. We're like, we really got to hire this guy. We weren't ready for him, but we were doing some other really large projects on the AtoZ Sync side. So
yeah,
AtoZ Sync currently is the software that's driving the Amazon shopping experience online.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we were working on an Amazon project at the time, which was confidential. Now it's open in the public. So, we were helping launch the Hyundai online shopping experience.
Yeah.
We were connecting the dealers and inventory and pricing and structure through our software to allow it to feed Amazon the right way.
Wow.
So we hired Parm in the AtoZ Sync side temporarily while we decided how we were going to create some funding and what we were going to do for one dealer lane. And through that, in the interim, Safeguard said, hey, we want to build something that's more marine, RV, power sports driven. Mm-hmm. And, we think that you guys can build it cheaper than we can build it because you're a new startup company. Let's do this. So that's kind of the path we started down. We actually started down, instead of the lending side, we stayed away from that. We started in the rate and remittance side. So we started building a rate and remittance tool that allowed for a few things. One is VIN decoding. Two is taxation and proper setup inside the stores. And then we started to evolve in that space. Really have no intention of being a menu company. Have no intention of being a CRM. We've been asked to do that multiple times, but we're trying to create a middleware that allows power sports, marine and RV dealers to actually manage the process from start to finish more streamlined and allowing consumers to have an easy touch point and move more freely, remove the friction from the consumer perspective as well as the dealer's perspective, and speed things up and make compliant as well was another big piece, ensuring.
So how long has ODL been in place at Fay Myers?
So we've been fully functioning at Fay Myers for 2 years.
Wow.
I want to say it goes back 3 years ago was our whiteboard session, maybe a little bit longer than that.
Yep.
And Parm's an amazing developer. And I say amazing, he's pretty incredible. And because of his background with App One and working in marine and RV and different spaces, his background experience, our experience in AtoZ Sync and automotive, and we were able to really make some strides quickly in what he was able to develop. He's tremendous in what he was able to accomplish in a short period of time. So we were developing it and testing it in Fay Myers, and then Michael owns 2 stores in the mountains, Steamboat Powersports and Craig Powersports, both smaller, more remote, which allowed us different perspectives. Also, we're a large metro dealer, and it allowed us to really refine the product. And then we went out and started seeking what I would call innovative thinking dealers. So long-term perspective. We need you to play with the software and give feedback. And so we went out and tried to find 10 to 12 dealers that wanted to deploy parts of the ODL and allow us to learn from them, because the biggest thing is what we do at Fay Myers isn't what happens in Florida, is what happens in, everywhere else. Wanted to have a diverse group. And so we found quite a few dealers that were open to it. And we put it in about 8 stores around the country, 8 to 10 stores initially. And we've run it for about 18 months in 8 stores. And, through the AtoZ Sync stuff and the stuff we were doing at AtoZ Sync, we actually met the executive team from Schomp Automotive, and Schomp is what I would call one of the more sophisticated operators in the auto space from a technology perspective. They have a great team of people, and they had randomly acquired some powersports stores, and they were struggling with technology. And we were talking about what we were trying to do with Amazon. And through this conversation, we're like, hey, we're testing a powersports software out. And they said, Ben, powersports needs something. Let's talk about it. So we met with their group, and they've got a great group of people. And they came on board as some of our dealers, and we've now grown. We're still very small. I mean, we're in the mid 30s from a dealership perspective. But we expanded into Harley. We expanded into every type of brand you can see. We've had pitches with OEMs. We're launching some pilots with some major OEMs right now. We've had some great conversations with a lot of different dealer groups. And so now we're on the retail. Let's start adding dealer groups around. We did power Sturgis, which was another big thing because Sonic owns the Sturgis stores.
Whoa.
And when they bought the Sturgis stores, they were obviously highly successful, but everything was on paper. Everything was sticky notes and notepads and the boards. So last year we powered and ran their event through the software.
How many?
Geez, that'll test the robustness.
They ran somewhere, I think it's publicly disclosed, somewhere north of 1,100 retail units.
Yeah, I think I saw that in Powersports Business.
Yeah, I think trades, they were like 625 or 650 trades. I don't remember exactly, but
oh my God,
the software administered that, and we had an unbelievable great relationship with those guys. We did a debrief afterwards. We've built some tools for them, and we're just continuing to iterate and grow the entire tool. So
how cool.
So we're kind of in a similar situation. We work with dealers, and we start by identifying opportunities for dealers and what tools, strategies, processes they could implement in their stores to access those, to seize those opportunities. Obviously, the biggest hurdle is behavior change at the frontline level. Change management. So, I mean, even at Fay Myers, I know you have full control there. Tell us about the process of implementing a revolutionary tool like ODL.
Especially when they hit their first roadblock of oh, that one button didn't work. I'm never going to use it again.
So I'll say this it's a great segue conversation. AtoZ Sync, we built AtoZ Sync, and it was designed for one price dealers. I mean, that was a system we built really never to sell initially. It was built to actually facilitate our growth and allowing a single point of login to facilitate a deal from start to finish. But in that design process, we learned a lot because we actually became more of a change management and training company, and our training implementation team was huge. And so we built a state-of-the-art facility in 2015. It was like a 125,000 square foot Honda car store, that we opened in 2015. We were doing north of 6,000 units, new and used.
That's the store that you were running in Denver. Is that right?
Correct. And we launched AtoZ Sync, and through that, a lot of Honda executives were through the store, and we were on some future retail committees, and we met some great people. But through that, a lot of dealer groups came through and said, we want to buy your software. And we were like, we didn't build the software to sell. And then we started to evolve and do that. And so we had a lot of hard learnings on the automotive side about change management.
Yeah.
And so when we built ODL, we really built a lot of versatility in the system to try and processes uniquely in every store, while also having a vision of what it can do long term, so that it will have the ability to do much more than what people think. So we built modules. And you ask about, how do we do this? Putting technology in front of powersports stores is challenging. Yes. As we all know, spending $49 a month freaks, a dealer out, at times $100 a month. Where in the auto space, it's just expected. I mean, they spend, I laugh about this. Our CRM spend in the auto space is, $5,000 a month in a high-end store, where in power sports we spend $600-700 a month.
Yeah, and balk at that.
But we expect the same technology, right? Which doesn't work. Same issue with DMS systems and everything else. I mean, automotive spends a lot of money in technology stacks, and power sports just. So what we learned early on is it's difficult really to get dealers to understand the end-to-end concept. So we built different lanes. So we have the product lane, which is a rate and remittance tool. We have, a finance credit application which is fully digitized. We have a sales lane, which is a sales process lane. We have a lending lane, which creates the lending connection. And then you can tie all these different lanes together and create the entire system. And so what you guys talked about, we've talked a lot about, is trying to understand what are the challenges each dealer has, and how do you get a section of the technology in there and allow them to see the benefit. And then as they get comfortable, you can start adding the other sections, because really changing the entire culture is difficult. And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I have ultimate control and decision-making ability at Fay Myers, but I removed everyone's computer and access to computers and handed them iPads. And that wasn't easy.
Yeah. So that was the switch to ODL, was literal changes from desktops to use this one program on this one.
I mean, we stopped using paper. I mean, that by itself is a challenge. And we did it slowly. I mean, we started with volunteers. Let's find the 3 youngest, more adept to technology people, and let's put them on iPads and let's start testing and see how it works. And we did. And then we'd have other people going, hey, I want to do that. And so then we'd add more people. And we got to a point where we got over 50% participation on the sales floor. And then it was, okay, now we're going to start mandating the change. And here's how
the people that didn't want to go along with the change, took a different path.
We managed multiple paths for a period of time and allowed that to happen for a little while. Mostly in our down season. And then
of course,
we transitioned, and over a season we did it slowly. And probably the biggest compliment I ever had, honestly, when we knew the system was working well. I've got some guys that have been with me for 25 years. That have been the top salespeople for 25 years. I mean, selling tons of motorcycles. And one of them came up to me. His name's Joe Jarvie. He's been doing it forever. And he has probably the most paper heavy process. I mean, he's very, very structured in what he does, very successful. And he came up and said, this system is amazing. It allows me to actually sell more easier. And I would have done it earlier. And for him to say that, he doesn't compliment any change in the process.
It's one of those aversive guys. Like, I don't want to change at all, but
so I've changed everyone. I mean, I have one person that does not use the system, and I laugh about this because he actually, I mean, he's late 80s and he's been with me for 40 years.
Oh my God.
He kind of is a statue in our dealership, and people come visit him and have coffee, and then, let's buy that $50,000 machine from him, write a check. Okay, cool. He's got an old clientele base that comes in and hangs out and sees him all the time. He's the only guy that doesn't follow the process, but I would tell you,
you're not.
Everyone else.
That is the most motorcycle dealer thing ever.
It is.
I mean, at my store, when I had my store, I had my guy, Billy. He was just the fixture. He wouldn't do anything that I told him to as far as technological change, but he could make people feel really good.
Well, Gary does crossword puzzles in the corner, coffee, and stumbles across a customer every now and then, and sells them something. And he's a legend. He's an amazing guy. So, I mean, he's the only exception in the store. Everyone else follows the process now. So
that's awesome.
That's very good. So, okay, so I want to go back just a little bit to the one price, one person, 1 hour model. Can you tell me, let's just, I guess, really just start
Which
off.
I love, by the way.
I know.
Totally aligns with exactly what we preach and think.
Yeah.
It's just hard to execute.
It is.
It's very difficult to execute. And I'll tell you this to you, the owner, when they purchased our store in 2004, we sat down and we talked about how can we make this work in power sports. And one of the challenges we have, obviously, is, I presented it to him when I was asked to be the GM. How do you sell a CRF 50 for retail and explain that's the one price to a customer and they're getting a good deal, right? Or some of these units you have, when you have PDI and expenses to them, I mean, now the cost is over the MSRP.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
you have less of those challenges in the auto space, way less. We did have those. I mean, the Honda Fit wasn't much different, but he made a very telling story to me, and the way Schomp was built was very unique. We charge no dock fee. We charge no hidden fees on the car side, and we are the #1 brand in the majority of the brands we carry.
So it's just MSRP plus tax?
No,
TTN?
Nope. It is one profit. And it's a math equation based on allocation in units. And so you can look at an entire forecast of what you're selling and say, I need to make an average PVR, which is what we do anyways on the sales side of, and I'm just going to use a number, $500 over, invoice. Okay. And I'm going to sell Honda Pilots at MSRP when they're hot. And I'm going to sell Passports at $500 off on average. And I'm going to sell these. And what you do is you actually have to break it down by color. So white spin fast, green spin slow. It's all a supply and demand math equation. And you understand your average of cars and when cars are coming and leaving, you can actually nail your PVR really well with a one price concept, and you make it very transparent to a customer. If you want a really well-priced car, I have that maroon one that, doesn't turn very well.
Yeah.
Came in wanting the white one. The white one's $500 more, but I don't have a dock fee. Like every dealer has a $500 dock fee. So, I mean, difference wise, I make it easy, fast, seamless. I'm going to fit you the correct way. We had a very, very, very strong, product presentation. Mm-hmm. And are you here for product or pricing information? And we would ensure you're on the right car. Do you really fit? Is Pilot really going to fit your needs? Do you really want an Accord? What's the best fit? Let's get you on the right car. Now let's talk about price. What fits your budget? And we would go through and we have a very strong sales process. Mm-hmm. #1 in CSI, #1 in volume. I mean, and you go to control the market, you can control pricing. When you have the largest inventory, you can start to control pricing once you get more velocity and spend. So it was an eye-opening conversation. It's not a one price piece. You got to get away from that concept. It's a one profit piece. And while it's more challenging, the reason it's more challenging in power sports is myriad of reasons. We order cars every 45 days. We have new cars coming in, so our turn cycle is all the time, and I don't carry the inventory like I do in power sports.
Yeah, you're not ordering once a year or something crazy like that.
No, and I've had this conversation numerous times. A Honda Powersports brand has, at one point, I don't know what it is today, but it was 190 different model variations. Automotive, you had 3 or 4 per model, and they only had 6 models. Yeah, and so you're to execute that way. I do think that the transparent pricing model is where stuff is going. I mean, if you look at what Amazon's trying to accomplish, if you look at the new FTC cars guideline, you're going to see more and more necessity to get transparent and streamline in your pricing process. So, ODL actually is built to be able to operate in any scenario. 4-square slow process, a one price, one person concept, lots of different pieces. It can function either way.
So that one price structure, when you do it in ODL, does that identify the price of the unit based on what's in your inventory, or is that stuff that separately the dealer is setting up that pricing?
The pricing setup totally different. I mean, we are in our roadmap working on an AI assisted model,
kind of an inventory management component to it.
Something that's missing in power sports. So in the auto space, every auto dealer uses an IMS system that manages and syndicates the way in which they push inventory to different lead sources.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting with the inventory management component, I think I explained to you the other day, it sounds very similar. We have a dealership downstairs that we could just try stuff out in. You've got Fay Myers, you could just try stuff out in and say, did it work? Let's now push it out to the handful of stores that we trust that'll give us feedback. So we're doing that same kind of thing.
My staff loves that, by the way. I'm sure yours does too.
Yeah, here's a new harebrained idea I just came up with.
At least you sign their checks. It's a little more difficult whenever.
Yeah. We get to try it in Fay Myers and Steamboat and Craig so we can get different perspectives, because I think, you talk about, your store downstairs is unique. Every power sports stores have a personality. A Honda car store is a Honda car store everywhere. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't mean to be, but it's a boring Honda car store. You can take a power sports store in different areas, and they have a personality. Yeah. So it's different, and everything fits different.
Exactly. And every process is different. And so
Everyone's got the guy that goes to the coffee machine and does crossword puzzles in the corner.
exactly.
That's right.
Everybody's got that guy. So, but one thing that was interesting when I had our new GM, so we turned the store around and we needed to get some new management in. So we brought in a really good friend of mine to be the GM, and he's been in the industry for his entire life, but he's never operated a dealership. So it's definitely like a big learning curve. One of the things that we did when we first brought him in was I needed him to understand flooring expense and how it changes cost of vehicle over time. And so we built this, we vibe coded a tool to basically be able to say, okay, here's the MSRP, here's the cost, here's kind of a wholesale price if you send it to NPA right now. And then we made this graph stretch out over 24 months and then started adding in variables like, okay, when does free flooring end? What is the rate of interest? So we could see like, okay, you can see the cost starting to tick up now. We can see that our margin's getting smaller and smaller until those two lines cross, which basically implies as flooring increases, there will be a moment where you can sell this thing for MSRP and you're still losing money. So you have to be timely in your moving a product. So that then turned into how do we adjust prices appropriately so that as units age, they drop in price. So we can try and fit that supply and demand line a little more effectively and not end up with 2-year-old products on our showroom floor. So that started our first kind of automated inventory value tool where at least based on timeline and flooring interest, we could apply this formula of, hold the unit MSRP for 90 days or whatever we ended up saying, and then drop it 3% every single month until we reach the floor, which is wholesale value. So like we would apply that.
Did you apply seasonality trends to that too?
So we did not. And so that's the thing. We did a very basic initial version, and this started actually during the winter because we needed to flush out a bunch of old inventory that the previous management group had just over inventoried this place. So it moved a shit ton of vehicles, but because the pricing was right, it wasn't moving previously, we got them down to fast moving numbers.
It wasn't right. It was extremely low.
It's like 2-year-old units. Like we just got to get rid of them. So anyway, all that happened, and we're now continuing to kind of evolve that pricing model. And I agree that I think seasonality is an incredibly important one, but it does still mean that, it's still costing us more and more regardless of if we're in a selling season or not. So what are you guys doing? I know you've got a phenomenal strategy on just staying on top of inventory, but what are your thoughts on that?
I'd love to tell you that we do, and we have over the years. We've built extensive, deep Excel spreadsheets that we used to track the time of sale. Everything you just described, we did. And I've been with Lemco. I've been with Garage Composites a long time. I've also been at Spader, and you learn different things from different groups. And Spader had a lot of great seasonality trend data, and we learned a lot of different things about pricing of product and whatnot. And we built. My previous controller was a absolute phenom in building these really complex sheets that would tell us when and how to move things. And what's cool today, I laugh about, and I would call us sophisticated early on in Excel. But think about it today, it's comical to even think about. I mean, what you're referring to, we are playing with a lot of the AI development of analyzing all the information you're talking about, because what you just talked about, every dealer has a different interest rate, and every single group has a different, if they hit different pieces, gets different amount of free flooring, and some groups have the ability to move that to a different flooring. And there's just so many things that play to that. And, the old Lemco days, got to put the oldest product up front. You got to put a balloon on it. Is the oldest unit, advertised? Do you have a sales process and stuff on it? And technology is allowing us to do a lot more of that. And it's amazing. It's also dangerous, but it's amazing.
It is.
You and I about this a little bit. I mean, I play in AI, every day, all day. And what you're able to look at and see is eye-opening. And I call it the daily 20 club. We used to, sit in 20 clubs and evaluate information and say, this is what we need to do to change our behavior. So to answer your question, I would say we were very, very, very good at that for a period of time. Mm-hmm. I think coming out of COVID, we fell and hit our head. Just like everyone else, we were making money, and I was doing multiple different other things. So I wasn't in the store every day, and we added inventory, and now we're working our way out of it, and it's a process. And AI is something I play with consistently. Like I was going to ask you, there's technology out there, now. So in automotive, used inventory and new inventory is managed really tightly.
Yeah.
And they have so much data to manage a store. Like to manage a Honda car store, I say this all the time, the amount of data you have and access to makes it way easier to do their job. In power sports, it's way more difficult.
Yeah.
I have 13, 16 brands under one roof from different parts of the world and different programs, and that becomes so much more challenging.
And every brand has how many models and how many,
Exactly.
like, it's
But
insane.
from a pricing perspective, they have tools out there. Viato is very big in automotive. I can tell you how many cars are out there, how fast they turn, what the average sale price is in my area. I can expand it to other areas, and I can really drive and understand what I should be pricing my cars at to move them.
Yeah.
And Powersports has some stuff that's come out now. I mean, MotoMate, and there's a couple other ones we've looked at quite a bit that
Moto
do
Hunt.
similar things. What's the other one?
Moto Hunt.
Yeah, Moto Hunt actually is another good one. I mean, quite a few of them that do great things, but understanding, what's the unit's price for around you, how many are available.
Yeah.
Again, this is data in automotive world. I know how many Honda Civics are at every dealer all the time.
Yeah.
And in power sports, that inventory is hidden. It's the same in PG&A, and I think PG&A is one of the more difficult things in our space. Believe it or not. I mean,
agreed.
So that's a big thing, mentioning all of these different tools and power sports, and you talking about how y'all were really good at it, and then COVID, and then it kind of just fell off. We hear that so often. If you have that person, like one person in the dealership that does this incredible job of knowing where to find all of these things, knowing how to do it, how to aggregate it all and apply it. Like if that person goes, then
goes the process.
You're done. And it's the same thing. It's like with the tools that we develop, the constant thing that we have to think about is, are we adding more work to an already overwhelmed frontline staff, or are we taking work away from them so that it makes their job easier? And it's such an uphill battle for change management if you're just adding more work to the frontline staff.
That, what you just said right there, is something that we preach, and we have to execute it better, but we preach the manager's job is to remove the friction from their staff's job to do their job better and easier. We like to create processes that create friction at times because we need to have a different behavior, right? But you have to understand, and right now, I mean, we have AI all over our store, and some of them have created friction and made the jobs more difficult. And as a leader, just had this meeting with our managers, our job is to not do that. Our job is to make their jobs easier so they can make the consumer experience easier.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've said it on every single podcast. I'm going to say it again. I don't know if Jason's heard it. One of Max's friends came to him. It's a fan of the store. He's a customer. And he just happened to mention to Max that every time he comes into the store, he feels like he's distracting the employees. I mean, it was after you had sold it.
Yeah.
But the point was, like, it's like heartbreaking to hear. Like, that's the exact opposite. But it's not like the employees are just on Facebook and
to be
playing
honest,
solitaire.
My first thought when he said that too wasn't, it was like, oh, well, look, it is really complicated to do all these things and then to create a repair order and order the parts. And like, there's a lot of computer work that needs to be done. And I realized I was making an excuse as to why our industry is so screwed up, not recognizing like, oh, he wants FaceTime, not employees staring at screens. Like that totally makes sense. And so you're right. These guys, our staff, when we were at AIM, both like the last 2 years, I've heard consistently people talking about how if my staff would just do their damn job, everything would work fine. And I have yet to walk into a store where there's staff, actually, there's one correction of this. I'll have to state afterwards, but usually I don't walk into any store and see staff not trying. They're all running around like crazy trying to get work done. And so a lot of times it's not a matter of saying, hey, work harder. It's about like, what things have we put in the way to slow your job down? And so our adoption issues, when we try to roll stuff out, a lot of the things we run into are if it doesn't remove, like he said, remove workload from them, they won't do it. Or they're going to hit the first hurdle and go, nope, it doesn't work.
They're going to find the easiest path. I mean, we talk about sales staff or employees, I mean, it's like water. They're going to find the crevice and run that way. It's just very simple.
Completely.
And
Completely agree.
we talk a lot about the process. Are we helping the process be better for the consumer and the employee? We talk a lot about pace the leaders, pace the team, set the weather, you know, all that, those great things. But are we just making the process more difficult, or are we actually assisting them in doing their job?
Yeah.
And this has been a debate. And I think you and I talked about this a little bit. Sam and I've had this conversation at length, which is, you know, since the 80s, the sales staff in car business sells between, you know, an average salesperson sells, I'm just going to pick a number, 15 units per salesperson per month. And since the 80s, we've added CRMs, DMS systems, finance menus. We went away from fax machines to actual direct, you know, integrations to lenders. And the average salesperson last year sold 15 cars. And so you have to ask yourself, what are you doing that are actually making the dealerships more efficient? And I think one of the things we talk about in ODL a lot is exactly that. Are we actually affecting the process and allowing our staff to move more efficiently? And, you know, the evolution of requirements also from the 80s to today, which I talk about, you know, the red flag rules, the requirements of fraud, the way things have evolved is causing some of that as well. I mean,
of course.
Regulation. I mean, there's so much stuff now that's vastly different than then that you've got to keep dealers out of hot water. And part of the, you know, biggest thing is to keep dealers from putting themselves in harm's way unnecessarily. And so, you know, we do that at ODL a lot. We try and speed up, you know, ensuring compliance and keeping people out of hot water.
Yeah, I mean, that's a risky area you guys are working in. It can go real sideways pretty quickly in that. So you cracked the door open for AI use inside the stores. So I think the first question I have for you is, as far as Fay Myers, and it doesn't need to be with ODL or not, but are your team members using AI in any way inside the store? What are they doing?
So in ODL, we're developing AI in ours, and we're on Anthropic is inside of our ODL tool. Version 1's launched, which is more of I would call it a tool to ask questions and pull data. You know, version 2 is more along the pricing tool that you're referring to.
Nice. And
we've got a few other things that I can't really get into right now, but that are on the horizon soon. As you know, AI is moving as fast as light. I mean, whatever I say today, by the time you post this, it'll be different.
Yeah, I completely agree.
We launched our first AI over 2 years ago in Powersports in the service department area.
Oh, yeah.
And
is it Blink, right? Blink is the name of it?
Blink AI. And we've used AI on the auto side much longer. And we were trying to solve some service issues on the auto side. And I was involved in that team that was doing that on the auto side. And we, you know, didn't like the voice AI. It sounded fake. This is going back 3-4 years ago. It was really bad and didn't want to be that type of company. So we found this company Blink, and they were more text oriented and, you know, outbound reminders and taking tasks off our advisors, updates and reminders to customers. And we went to them and said, hey, we have 13 stores and you're in the lead. And I said, selfishly, I'm going to ask you, can you develop it for Powersports? And he was like, no way. I mean, totally different.
There's no
and I
point.
said, well, okay, well, I'm going to talk to the other 2 guys that are in the finals and see if, you know, if they'll do it. And so then we had more of a conversation. He's like, well, what EMS is it? And they were actually really open. They met with Lightspeed and integrated, and we ended up launching Blink. And I created a lot of friction out of the gate. I'll just tell you, it was a lot of friction. But today, I mean, I was looking yesterday, I mean, Blink made 14 online appointments for our service department.
Whoa, those are calls that didn't have to come into the service desk.
So we have voice now. We started purely by text and purely by, you know, the website. When you drop down on the website and you click, I want to make an appointment, and, you know, what you see on websites is creates an email that goes to the advisors that they try and call and follow up on. Ours actually opens up and ties to our schedule and says, here, pick your time, pick your service. And if you plug your cell phone number in, if you bought from us, it says, oh, you've bought these 3 motorcycles. Which one would you like to make the service for? Then you pick it, and then you tell it what kind of service. It finds the spot, and we've evolved it quite a bit to now it sends a message to the advisors, and then the advisors then confirm the appointment, ensure all the parts are ordered, and it creates a full circle piece. But it also does outbound text. Hey, you need to get you haven't been in for a while. You can do all kinds of things with it.
Are you
And it's
texting through another program like Connect or anything?
yeah.
Okay, so is it the same number? Is it in conjunction with Connect, or is it a completely separate number?
Completely separate number at this point.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
And it's turned out to be, I mean, today I have 4.5, 5 advisors, and it's performing more appointments than those advisors themselves every day.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and we're working on on the bench, off the bench updates through Blink.
Yep.
So it'll text a customer, your vehicle's going on the bench. Okay, your vehicle's off the bench. It's ready for pickup. Do you want to pay for it? It's doing all that stuff. So
it's the Domino's pizza tracker of your repair order. It's keeping you posted as it goes. So your advisor doesn't need to reach out about it.
At the time, Lightspeed had changed scheduling softwares, and we tried to use Lightspeed software. We couldn't use it. So, I mean, Blink developed an entire scheduling system and for us.
Even your technician scheduling is done with Blink now, not with Lightspeed?
We manage it in Blink and then move it to Lightspeed.
Okay.
So eventually we're trying to tie all that together. And part of, as you know, getting involved in technology is not everything works exactly like it needs to initially. But if you look like where we're at today versus 2 years ago, it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Lightspeed becomes more open to pushing into
So
their API.
I can't share all of this, but I'll tell you that we are in very deep discussions with Lightspeed. And for the first time ever, I think the new leadership in Lightspeed sees where they're trying to go. And I'll tell you that if they're able to execute what they want, you will see Lightspeed take some major leaps. I think they're doing a lot of great things. And we're working very
Exciting to
closely.
hear.
Hope so, because I know they opened up, at least service lead pushing.
They have a lot of great people. We've spent a lot of time with them as of late.
That's great. Good.
Yeah,
I'm
we
glad to
love
hear that's
we
happening.
love Aaron and
Zach. Those are our
Zach
main
and-
references. We're working
yeah.
with those guys, but yeah, I mean, it was before this new regime when we built our first software, which I showed you previously, the equity mining and lifecycle management software, and it worked. And it was great, but man, their API fees just drained our bank account so fast.
Well, and it does ours too. I mean, it's very expensive, and
it's for the biggest expense you got,
and it doesn't work. And it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. We actually created some workarounds. They were pretty impressed with our tech team's ability.
I'm glad you said impressed and not unhappy with. But
No, they were pretty impressed. Yeah, it needs to be more open, and they know that, and they got to figure out. They're figuring their way around it, and they're doing some great things. I mean, they have a really good team.
Yeah,
They've hired from the outside that I think are doing a lot of good things.
that's really great. Today's podcast is brought to you by Chester River Consulting. Now, Chester River is the direct marketing company that we used in the turnaround project and still at the dealer lab. And it is the company that goes through our DMS. It pulls all of our customer data and it communicates them with them in life cycles. So that life cycle management component where we're talking to customers in meaningful ways just at the right time that's relevant to them, that takes a lot of work if you're expecting your team to be able to do it. When Chester River contacts our customers on our behalf through messaging that we have designed along with them, they actually contact a third of my customer base every single month. I mentioned that in the podcast and kind of talk about that in more detail as we go through this. But these are the guys who actually do it. If you're interested in talking to them about how they can do it in your store, contact them at sales@fueledbycrc.com. Again, that's sales@fueledbycrc.com. And enjoy the rest of the show.
We also do video walkarounds in service, so we're trying to tie all that together.
Yes. You've been doing that a long time too, right?
Yeah, we've been doing that. We started that a long time ago.
What
we
service
got
is
from
that?
the automotive space.
Is it See It Now?
So
Which one
we
do you
use See It Now. See It Now was initially launched in Europe, and it was launched by Ducati Europe, and it was used in Ducati stores in Europe as a tool, and then it got into automotive and came over here. And again, like you understand, in automotive we have Xtime, and Xtime installed this software, and they created their own version of it, and now we're on Xtime in automotive. I'm still on See It Now in powersports, but the more seamless integrations, the way all this stuff works together is what you want as an organization. I don't want 5 different things to log into.
Agreed.
And in powersports, we have to deal with that. That's kind of one of the things we're trying to help solve with ODL, is being that middleware that you log into to do all this stuff.
Yeah, and then those APIs are integrated to execute on your behalf, that kind of concept.
Correct.
So we'll go
And
back
then we
to
also
AI
have
then. Yeah.
We also have AI for my controller, myself, and a few other do a lot of report analysis through Anthropic.
Oh, nice.
We do that. And then we also have a sales AI in play, which has created a lot of friction initially, but it's pretty impressive.
Is it customer facing?
It is customer facing.
On your website, or how do they interact with it?
No, once you are engaged in our CRM, it basically takes over as an assistant. And let's just
Wow.
say you're working with one of my sales guys. Hey, I'm Brian. Hey, my name is, Joan. I'm Brian's assistant. I'm just following up on your visit. It looks like we got the credit up submitted and we're waiting for the bank to get back. If you need anything at all, you can just text me and I'll get the communication back to you. And it's pretty impressive.
Ooh.
It also does, consumer ask, hey, can you send me pictures of the bike? It will actually circumvent the sales guy, go find the pictures on the website, send the pictures to the customer.
Wow.
Hey, what's the seat height on the motorcycle? It'll go verify the OEM website, verify your site, and give them the seat height difference between multiple models. It'll solve questions for your sales staff to free them up to do more stuff.
So is your sales staff coming back to the text message be like, oh, Joan already replied? Like, is that what's...
It's updating their task list constantly as to what's happening. So they already know they have a thing. Again, though, one of the challenges, it's not integrated yet. And so we wanted to be on the front side of playing with it and understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we would love to see it more integrated.
Is that with ODL, or who are you doing that with?
No, that's with a company called, I think it's Drive AI.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They do auto and power sports.
Is Drive AI different than Drive Centric, or is that the same company?
Very different.
Very different. Okay.
Drive Centric is a CRM that we use in the auto space, which is tremendous. It's probably the best CRM in automotive. And they are now in power sports. They've been playing in power sports a little bit. We don't use them here, but they're very, very
I've heard.
group of guys.
Interesting. So Drive AI, that Drive AI is pretty new as well. I mean, I've been seeing them all over Instagram. I'm getting very targeted by them.
Well, if you're playing an AI, they know you are, and they're sending it to you. That's how I got them too.
Definitely. So how long have you had them in?
We launched them in January.
Okay, cool. And then is that a new phone number you have to have as well, or how does that integrate into it? It integrates into Connect.
No, so we use DP360 currently for our CRM.
Yep.
And it integrates in and picks up all the leads that come in. You can integrate in multiple. I mean, there's other dealer groups out there that use it for their sales BDC. You can launch it multiple different ways. They've got a lot of ways you can launch it.
Interesting.
I would say we're probably.
We just had a meeting recently with DP360 showing their new AI. I mean, it's like you said, not only is AI itself evolving so quickly, but our industry is now like every technology player is launching some new AI integration into their system. So DP360 just launched one that I think is apparently aimed at doing very similar things that Drive AI is doing right now.
We use their AI for our sales staff. It would clean up their responses a lot, which I thought was really cool inside of DP360. So when you get, I don't know, poor English spelling, or you had sales staff not right, it would rewrite the responses and do a good job. That was actually pretty cool. You're seeing AI everywhere, like you said. The challenge is going to be, like we have AI and ODL, and Lightspeed's going to launch AI, and you have all these things. Is how do we get these to work as one?
Yeah, if we're all referencing different data and just stumbling all over each other, it's not.
You just touched the most important part.
The data. Yeah.
Data. And the way, automotive data is, I would say, still not more streamlined and cleaned and accessible. Yeah. Our data in the power sports space is scattered, and like you have a Lightspeed store, and the store down the street could have set up all their stuff differently, and the different areas you go into. So it's challenging. So normalization of data.
It's almost impossible to find one source of truth.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pull raw API from, and then you can pull the exact same data through a report, and you may or may not get the same thing.
So we've learned this through ODL. We opened up ODL, and it's integrated with APIs, right, for Fay Myers, and then we did it at Craig and Steamboat.
Yeah.
And like, what is happening? We can't figure out what's going on. And I use this example because it's actually really interesting. We thought we were smart, and we would always customer facing a model nomenclature. So we write CBR 600, where maybe the model number's at 4532 for Honda. And where you put that in Lightspeed determines, how it comes out. And we would, when we were pulling stuff a long time ago, we thought we were early into websites. We wanted clean, customer facing information. Well, Craig and Steamboat, they were pulling actual model numbers.
Yeah.
And, that normalization just right there is a problem. I mean, what they were
Yeah.
doing great because you could go to an OEM and you could reference that model, but to a customer, it meant nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But for title work, it was better. For other reasons, it was better for them. And they had great reasoning as to what they were doing.
Yeah.
But the normalization
No
of that is
consistency.
important. So we had to create, and that's some of the thing we're doing with ODL is creating some normalization information. So when we go
Which
into
AI is huge for.
Yeah.
Oh, man. And you go in and grab all these different fields you're referring to and then ask it to reference OEMs and go through all stuff and normalize the data points so that it's clean and crisp to everybody. That's really an important piece.
So are you doing AI to do that right now, or is there an onboarding with new dealers where you have to actually map their data?
But there's an onboarding with dealers. We have to map their data.
Yeah.
And then because of our experience with these 30 different dealers, we've found a lot of what I would say best practices are. Although
the
not everyone
patterns
always
everybody's
wants to
doing
follow the best practices, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, we are using AI to normalize data and find some of those pieces.
That's incredible. So one thing we talked a little bit before about using, like, what is the future of using AI and the next kind of steps? And I mean, I am quite a nerd when it comes to AI now. It's all I ingest at all times. I listen to every AI podcast you can ever imagine. I work with every single tool. I try every single one of them at different times. But I got really, really addicted to vibe coding for a while. You can ask Danny. You can also ask my wife. I spent a lot of time not sleeping. So building tools and software and all that stuff. And that was really helpful in the turnaround project of building little tools that help the store be faster. But then most recently, I've gotten really, really into agents, just like everyone who's in AI right now is really getting into agents. And so one of the things we're working on right now is the ability to we have an AI computer that's sitting right behind our little podcast studio. That computer's name is Samantha. Samantha has 9 agents that work for her. They are Angela, Pamela, Sandra, Rita, Monica, Jessica. It's all the ladies from Mambo Number 5. So I figured just like easier to remember. So that whole team, some of them are like specialists in finance. Some of them are specialists in like visual recognition. So like reading documents or reading websites or scraping. So they have all these different skill sets. And so now my delegation agent, who is Samantha, driven by Anthropic, can delegate to my local AI agents. So those are all held within that computer. So no personal identifiable information can get out. No financial data can get out because it's all on my computer. I'm not using some big open source model. Now, we did this internally for Onyx, so it was easier for us to understand, the dealership reports that we were building, these big studies. We could do them more quickly, we could get more in-depth information. But what we're doing now is realizing in the dealer lab, we can have it not only pull API data from multiple sources to identify parts availability or pair order status or that kind of stuff, but we can also use these agents to input data. And so once you start doing that, that's where stuff gets really entertaining and really interesting, because suddenly we could essentially vibe code. So for any listener who doesn't know what that is, it just means using AI to build software. So we can build an interface for an employee. Let's say it's a service advisor. One single interface that does the creation of repair orders, the tracking of things, the dispatch, all of it, which normally would take either multiple different windows and tools within your DMS, or it would also require you to connect your Blink AI scheduler or connect your OEM websites for looking up flat rate labor times or Service Manager Pro or all those other components. So then if you have this one single interface that can interact with those other systems, then your employees aren't going between different things. And ultimately, we solve that problem that Danny brought up earlier of my employees staring at the computer screen and not making eye contact. And so what's really interesting about that idea is if I could train my Bega team, as in Lou Bega, Mambo Number 5 girls, if I can train them how to look up parts or schedule or identify how long our backlog is, all as individual skills, that we can get that work done really quickly in the background, and my advisor's just the face.
Advisors is one of the toughest jobs in the space, which is why I was so adamant about launching AI there first.
Yeah.
I used to talk about this. Our phones were ringing off the hooks. We were having people walk in. My advisors couldn't give a great quality experience. And I talk about this in the auto space. We regiment our advisors somewhere between 12 and 16 appointments a day. And
Yeah.
those cars come in and leave like 85, 90% the same day. Powersports, we don't have that because the parts aren't available, whatever the case may be. Our guys handle way more ROs, and the phone's ringing and people have questions, and I'm on a hunting trip or I'm over here with the wife and this fell apart. How do I? And we couldn't handle the phones. And I would plug people in the back in the summertime just to answer phones and get back to people. And that's, I started with talking about what you're talking about, which was trying to solve for the amount of phone rings we were getting. That's what we were trying to solve everywhere. And it is unbelievably changed the trajectory of that experience for the customer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's without a doubt the biggest bottleneck in the operation, not only inbound, but outbound as well.
Yeah, then we want them to go out, we want them to go sell add-on, like they came in for a chain of sprocket, an oil change, a sprocket, and they got to pick up the phone and call someone who they can't connect with, they don't pick up, and then the customer walks in and it's dealing with something else, and they got to deal with this over here, and they never get back to it. And the customer doesn't get that experience where AI sends a text message. And ours does a text message with a video. Here you go. Here's the walk around. You came in for oil change. Look at, here's your chain sprocket. Here's the fix. Click yes or no, and it instantly allows a response back and forth, and they're able to work.
I think that's the incredible part. Actually, one of the very first podcasts that we had was with Billy Nickel here in the studio. And he actually was going through See It Now and like how to be able to get the change management required in the service department to get technicians to record videos of every single one. That's crazy.
I have to tell you this.
You guys got it done.
I have to tell you this. I interviewed Billy Nickel one night, went to dinner, and we were talking about what we wanted out of a service department. And he's like, yeah, I want to know what your feeling is. I want to implement video walkarounds to the technicians. And I said, we've started that already. He goes, no way. And I'm like, yeah, we're using this tool. And he goes, oh, I was using, my iPhone and creating regular videos. And I'm like, no, we have a tool that does it. And he was a huge reason for our success. Although, he struggled initially. We'd have 10 vehicles come in and our average video was like 30%. And I said, hey, just, the Honda car store is at 97%. He goes, there's no way. And so he went over and sat on the service drive and watched what was going on. And talk to the advisor over there, which I'm the service manager, which I launched it when I was over there. And it was a non-negotiable. I mean, and the first pushback with every tech was, well, how much are you going to pay me to do the video? And again, it's the same thing, which was, well, if you do the video walk around, what you just talked about, which is the lack of follow-up from an advisor to sell that upsell, you're directly connecting with the customer. You're creating trust and transparency. And that upsell is going to happen instantaneously with a text message back, and we're going to move forward, and you're going to sell more hours and be more efficient. And Billy got our guys on board, and Billy did a tremendous job. We executed, we were executing 95% videos. Yeah. And our growth was tremendous.
I remember one time Billy was just like explaining it to me one time at dinner or something, and he brought up just a random one, like, oh, well, let me show you a random video. He clicked on it. And it wasn't just like it was an incredible video, but it was literally just for a wheel. Like the repair order was for just putting a tire onto a wheel. And the technician did a whole video filming like, hey, so I changed your tire here. It was incredible that the technician took the time, even on a job that small, to engage with the customer and tell them what other things they could look at or introduce themselves. I mean, it makes such a huge difference.
I thought you were going to say the one that he just randomly clicked on, and it was just like a motor completely spread across a bench of a CBR 600. And he said, well, here's the issue right here. Here's where your piston has a hole punched through it.
He's done that one. He's done that one, actually. And the transparency and trust it creates for the customer, though, it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
And I think something that's lacked in power sports for a long time that automotive really understands is a strong service department with people that are loyal to it. It's where the repeat and referral drive comes from for people buying stuff in your store.
Yeah, that's what our whole company is based off of. It's after the initial, the sale is so important, but after that, the ownership experience until they trade in and buy their next one, if that ever happened, that is the most, it's so vital.
Yeah, you make that 1 hour or one price, one person, 1 hour thing stick with them so much that when they come into service and it's 6 people, 3 prices, 5 hours, that's a totally different, actually, probably not even 5 hours, like 3 weeks Like that is such a different experience from when they bought. They just become incredibly disenfranchised and don't want to come back to you. So there needs, I love what you've done so far with ODL. I think it's incredible, but there has to be this full circle, which it does sound like in Fay Myers, you've clearly already identified there's some tech that already helps you, blink AI on the front end, see it now on the back end. But once we start kind of putting those pieces together and still your service advisors, I'm sure, have so much more time in the day to be able to give better experiences, but there's definitely more you can do to make that even more smooth and work out more effectively. So, I mean, what are the next moves you're thinking of doing back there?
In service or where?
Service, ownership experience, trade cycle, any of those. I mean, what's on your horizon?
We want to fully digitize the process completely. Meaning from title, registration, completely from start to finish. ODL has a lot of power and ability. I may have shared it with you, may not have shared it with you. You guys should see a demo at some point. We can do full digital menus. You can be on an iPad where you're at, and I can see the actual transaction happening on my side, on my screen, and talk you through it.
Yeah, I did see that. I went through it with Robert.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. Robert Ward.
Yeah. I think managing multiple stores, one of the things we're really working on is trying to figure out how to become more efficient for stores that have 3 small stores or a multi-store group can manage desking and finance out of a single store, allow salespeople to operate freely, less overhead, more efficient and consistent, and combine your buying power on the lending side and everything else and try and manage that all through ODL. I think analyzing, data is going to be a big evolution inside of what we do, understanding the friction points, how many customers that are buying bikes or buying in parts or buying in service, and what's the reason why not? Do we not have the right parts and accessories in stock? Do we not have the right, those things I think are real big, focus points for us. Billy and I had previous guy, Daniel Vartanian, who owns his own stores now in California, was my service manager. We really focused to strengthen the service department in Fay Myers over the years and did a really good job. And in the last couple of years, we've lost a lot of big A technicians, and that's been a big blow. And we're trying to rebuild it now, which is another big challenge. But we've got a great guy in play.
Is Byron back there still?
Yeah, Byron's a big team builder, and
love Byron.
Growing some great teams, doing some good stuff. But I think, that one of the things, I would love to see empowering the sales staff to complete a transaction from start to finish digitally with a customer that allows for a much easier path. What we learned in the auto space, in big stores especially, when I opened the Honda car store, we had 47 salespeople. And in a traditional car store, that would require 6 to 8 or even 10 finance people to process. Yeah. And because we're a single point of contact, we didn't have finance managers. And so the lanes, meaning 47 salespeople, don't funnel into 8 finance people. Or in my store, I get 12 to 15 sales staff funneling into 4, and you go from a 15-lane highway to a 4-lane highway on a busy day, and that gets challenging.
So in that Honda store, it was essentially you had 47 salespeople and 47 F&I people because they're doing the same desking?
That's exactly right.
Holy crap.
Yeah, because there is no finance person, so they're doing it from start to finish.
Yeah.
You have paperwork processors. And so, inside of ODL, we're trying to digitize everything. So dealers have the option to do multiple things. I'll use an example. Does it make, what's the best experience? We were selling electric bicycles for a while, and we didn't run those through the finance office. The sales staff would just run it through ODL and do everything from start to finish. And that was kind of our test phase. And
yeah, of course.
You could do that. But, I think that there are, what you guys talk about, that's a major change in power sports. We're not there. There are some great groups that are doing it now. I have some of my 20 group that are actually successfully eliminated the finance department and repurposed those people. But you allow for a better transaction. Customers enjoy, if they make a relationship with somebody, they don't like to hand off and pass off typically. And so, how can you make that system better? How can you make that process better?
To piggyback on that idea, that concept that if I go into a dealership and I become really good friends with my salesperson, what is it, Gary? Is that your old man with the?
Yeah.
Okay, so I befriend Gary. Gary's my guy, right? Then something goes wrong. I got a flat tire. I need a service. I need some other work. I want to go talk to my guy. I want to, maybe Gary's a bad example, but I want to text that person and say like, hey, this thing just happened, and they take care of it for me. Now, that's actually a conversation that like, Schoolie from Garage Composites, Schoolie and I have talked about this a bunch of like, when I buy my motorcycles or when he buys his motorcycles, he doesn't go to the sales guy and work through the same channel. He talks to the GM of a store and says, hey, I want this bike and this is what I'm going to have. And so the experience that because we're so ingrained in the industry, the experience is so different, but it's so good that what could we do to make sure that it's one person the whole life cycle?
You hit the nail on the head, and I think there's a lot of challenges in our space to get there. I mean,
yeah,
we're departmentalized, and I'm the biggest culprit of it as well. I mean, the service department's its own business, the parts department's its own business, and you got to stay in your lane, and you sell the bike, they do this, they do that, and I do think for the customer experience long term, that's probably needs to change. And I always use this analogy: if your mother came in to buy a motorcycle, how easy is the process for them?
Oh, God.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so why is it not that easy for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great book about that, the mom test.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
Development. But look, my big thing is that think about the customer experience. Think about like your transactions in every other aspect of your life. If you're buying a computer or a phone or whatever, how easy everything has become. It'll be
The
almost
Amazon
impossible.
effect. The Amazon effect.
Exactly, the Amazon effect.
Agreed.
It'll be nearly impossible, I understand, for our industry to get there, but we're so far behind.
I don't think it's impossible. And I'm going to say this to you because I've got to watch the auto. I mean, you can buy a Hyundai car online in 8 minutes. Now, you don't complete the transaction because you have to go to the dealer to complete the transaction. But that pickup process is a walk around and explain the car. And that will change.
And that is all paperwork and everything. That's like documentation, paperwork, title, license, all that.
So it's not end to end because there's limitations in automotive still to do a true end to end still.
Okay.
So you have to sign some wet documents based on state requirements and whatnot in every state. But you hit the nail on the head. And somebody you asked earlier about change management and dealers and what's the challenge. My kids, they buy everything or do everything on a mobile device. And if dealers don't evolve and meet customers where they met, you're going to get left behind. And, I talked to a lot of auto dealers that were very anti-Amazon. And I'm like, you got to pay attention and learn from it because we all have to evolve. And if we don't evolve, we're going to die.
Yeah, auto is, as I'm sure, different because it's more transactional. But I think a big fear from our industry, dealers specifically, is that they're like, well, we have to have the customer come in. It's like, okay, they will want to come in if the experience is good and you give them that experience. How about we just take out the painful parts of the customer experience? Like make it the community hub, which it really already is if you're providing a good experience.
Tesla, Rivian, they've changed the industry. There's a reason why that's happening the way it's happening. And I think all of us need to figure out the challenge. And I'll say this, even in auto, one of the biggest fears is losing control of the F&I office. And it's the same for us. We're not pivoting that direction because we want to control the F&I office. It's such an integral part of how we succeed and pay our bills.
Yeah.
In automotive, it's how they live. The reason we're successful in the Schomp group initially was, we were a one price dealer that didn't live on finance. And so finance was an afterthought. And so anything above and beyond is easy. You just educate the customer. That's how we've got to where we're at. But now we perform at industry standards without an F&I office. And that's a real feat.
You're performing at F&I industry standards, like F&I PUS standards? Wow. With those 47 employees, 47 salespeople?
So since COVID, that store, it's dropped in half. It's not doing 6,000 units, but it's doing half the volume with more profit.
Well, that's nice too. That's even better.
COVID's changed. COVID changed the game dramatically.
Yeah.
And in powersports, it's doing the same thing. But, that change management is painful. To think that through. But a fully buying transparent, easy process, we've got a lot of reasons why it doesn't work. If you look at, Garage Composites, Spider Group, all these groups that scream profitability. I mean, powersports stores don't make enough money as it is. We're trying to scrap for every dollar. I mean, you talked about something earlier about invoice pricing, and in automotive, invoice pricing is easy. It includes destination. We have freight and setup, and we have true freight and setup costs where automotive freight's included inside. It's decided by the manufacturer. It's inside the cost of the unit, and it's outside the cost of unit in a power sports space. And so, people don't believe what we pay for these units today.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And if we don't hit all functioning departments the right way, it's difficult to be profitable.
100%.
So, I mean,
Totally agree.
The challenge really becomes, I laugh about it, if you bought a Tesla, you pay whatever the price is. It's not
It's like buying an iPhone.
It's buying an iPhone.
Yep.
Amazon has scared people from that because Amazon's been a race to the bottom, right? Because you can compare 5 people competing in the same space and resellers and everything else.
Right.
But in auto, they've taken a different approach. They want a transparent pricing to a customer. And they really want to help dealers because they know the need for service. You got to have dealers to service the customers.
Do you see a future with ODL or any other systems that make sense where the customer can buy entirely at home with just delivery at the dealership, maybe wet signatures, but can that happen now with ODL or?
ODL can do that today. I mean, we don't advertise that. We don't push that because it's not manufacturer allowed in states.
Yeah.
I can do an entire transaction digitally with you today.
But that is still including a salesperson, right? That is,
yes,
is that including
a salesperson can do it completely.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, we own our own signature tool. Like we don't have a DocuSign tool. We own it. We're a fully SOC 2 compliant company. We have direct integrations to some lenders API back and forth. We are testing digital funding right now.
Wow.
Yeah, we're making some big headway in a lot of those spaces.
That is very cool.
But the system, that's the cool part about ODL, is it was built to fit a traditional 9-step sales process, or if you want a 7-step sales process, or you want to do a 4-square, or you want to do whatever, it can fit each of those processes. Does it have the ability to be a one person digital transaction at home? Yeah, it can do that. I mean, I could do an entire deal with you digitally on your iPad at home, and I could send it to you and talk you through it while I'm at the dealership, or do it on your own. Yeah, it has that ability.
Very cool. Very cool.
And the cool part about that is the stuff I say, it's not Figma, it's actually working. Like,
yeah.
I laugh about.
It's not wireframed.
No, it's not
actually doing it.
I got to learn a lot about technology on the auto side, and I'd play with these Figmas. I'm like, what do you mean this isn't live? And like, no, this is just a Figma. I'm like, you built all this out and none of it works. You're like, this is only what it'll do.
Yeah, I remember the days of having to deal with Figma, and then vibe coding came out, and it's like, I'll just make it
exactly
functional how I want to do it, and I'll send that to the developer.
Well, we were doing demos 3 years ago on ODL, and people were like, "So that's your Figma?" Like, no, this is a working. We don't build Figmas.
Yeah,
God, that was one of my biggest thing was, if we're going to show someone something, it actually needs to be functioning and working.
Yeah,
not this idea. Yep. A lot of software companies sell ideas, but I think AI has killed that. Like you said, I mean, there's people in mid pitch building what people are talking about and showing it to you. Is this how you want it to work?
Yeah.
And that's kind of
that really is where the game changer is. And I think that's an important part that I think I know you're busy. We got to get you back to work. You got too many jobs. So, but one thing that I think is important, especially to wrap this up, is you are clearly on the cutting edge of trying new technology, doing things differently, and of course have created a software company to do it. But I think there's a lot of opportunity that dealers are not even aware of. Like there's some companies I've worked with where when I talk to them about AI, everything their eyes just kind of glass over because I don't think they recognize what it actually is. It's no longer just a chatbot you communicate with. It can be so much more, and the opportunities from like where we can go from right now to 5 years from now is going to be absolutely insane. So since you play with AI all the time, I play with it all the time, what would your advice be if somebody is listening to this as a dealer that's interested in what is this actually capable of doing? What would you say would be like your first steps into it?
I mean, I encourage dealers, they got to get in the game. I mean, too many dealers are doing the same thing we've been doing forever. And the hard part, quite candidly, is a lot of those guys are highly profitable and look at us and go, well, I mean, I make 12% net to bottom line. This is working for me. And
why change?
that's very difficult to argue with. They own their own buildings. That they look like they've been 1984, but they own their own buildings and they're cashing the check. And quite candidly, that makes sense. I think the industry's primed for change, but I think dealers have to start playing with AI. I mean, you talked about your AI agents, and I got exposed to it from one of our tech guys on the auto side. And he's a golfer and his son's a golfer. And I'm going to share a short little, reason I did it. He built an AI bot at his house, bought a Mac Mini, built an AI bot. Whole sole purpose was to find tee times for him and his son to play golf. And he built an AI agent that he would load the kid's school schedule and his after sports schedule, his dad's schedule, his mom's schedule, and then find time slots with drive times to these selected golf courses. It would go in and grab the tee times the minute they became available, and then let him text back and forth to keep them or cancel them as they moved on. And he explained this to me, and I said, you got to come to my office. And so we built an AI agent for myself to just scan my emails and do different things. And then I started using my agent to scan my competitors' websites for pricing, and I started doing all kinds of crazy things. And as you know, it gets expensive. I started getting my bills, and I'm like, oh wait, I got to stop this. I got to stop playing around.
I'm doing too
Get
much.
that Max Plus plan.
Yeah. So, and what I didn't, that was months ago I did that. And today, we're evolving more to the philanthropic stuff, and we're doing other things. I mean, I play with the open claw. It's dangerous. I mean, I call us, you said cutting edge, on auto, we're bleeding edge. I mean, we cut ourselves a lot. And that's how we became a one price, one person, and 1 hour concept. And our executive team is very always, what can we do more of? How can we do it? And in power sports, I'd say we're definitely bleeding edge as well. We try things. We always win. The answer is no, but we learn. And I live on, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And have to learn. I've been doing this now for almost 30 years. And my drive right now to be more successful is at the highest it's ever been, because I see opportunity with AI and all the stuff you're doing to be more successful, easier.
I completely agree.
Not in it. It's just like talking about, I mean, the internet's a fad, right? Website fad. Social media is going to go away. Like that's I mean, all those things are not true. And AI will impact our space. I mean, I sent you, I think, a slide deck from an AI symposium I went to. It was super interesting. AI is going to change what we do, whether you like it or not. So you better start playing in it.
100%. Either you're gonna be a part of it, or you're gonna get left behind. You're the ones that are not doing it. One of my suggestions, and actually it sounds very similar to the tea time thing. If you are a dealer who is not yet engaged in AI, you can use ChatGPT or Claude just as a chat bot and communicate with it just fine. That's great. That's definitely entry level. I'd say the next step is start trying out vibe coding. There are different programs to do it. I think the easiest one is a program called Replit, Replit. There's also Lovable.
That's the first one I worked on. Replit. That's the first one I worked on.
Yeah, I love it. I've built a bunch of great stuff. And the best advice I ever heard was just play with it. Like, don't start off trying to solve some specific problem. Make something that's totally ridiculous, absolutely unnecessary. One of the people that there's somebody I was working with that just mentioned this ridiculous app idea of it being you log onto a website, there is a slot machine that you pull the lever and it shows me all my different outfits that I have in my closet, and then it rearranges them into what goes well together and then shows me a picture of me wearing that. And I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. I logged into Replit. I had her voice record that into Replit, and I hit send, and it built the entire tool. So it's like, that was the moment that she was like, oh my God, this is what AI can do.
Replit's expensive. I mean, you start playing, it gets expensive.
It does. It is not cheap, especially if you're setting it out.
I was trying to create a pricing tool and, scraping everyone's sites. And
when you start scraping, you're integrating AI into the tool you're using as well. That's when it gets really, really high. But so even just the simple stuff like the deal builder that we created for quoting customers, that is incredibly cheap. It was cheap to put together because there's no AI. It's just workflow automation. So
there is an AI out there right now that you can download. I got to think of the app right now. That is actually an educational tool for people that want to learn about it. And you can tell it how you like to learn. Like I want podcasts on Anthropic, and I want podcasts on, and how do I want to learn? I want no longer than 10 minutes because I want to listen to it while I drive to and from work. I want to learn it this way. And it will actually go out and find all the information around a different AI tool, and it'll actually send it to you. I'll find it and send it to you, and you can share it wherever you want.
I'll put it in the description and put it on here once I have it off the screen. That is really, really cool, man.
That's awesome.
So is that just for learning AI, or is that something that we could utilize for training up staff? I mean, is that something where, because that multimodal training of podcasts or video or any of that stuff?
At that AI summit I went to, there was a AI training tool that would listen to sales and finance. And when your sales and finance team failed, it would create repetition for that salesperson and word track changes and make them go through a training tool to retrain them as to why they were not successful. And again, I'll have to send it to you because I can't. It's in that group of the slide I sent you. But that's another great place for AI is training. We've looked at creating full AI training in one dealer lane, so we don't have to have people, so we can send you to an AI trainer and learn how to use the tool. Of course. I think that's a tremendous use of AI. I mean,
if you think about the AtoZ that you had, what is it, AtoZ?
AtoZ Think,
AtoZ Think, when you had all those people deploying so that they can make that change management happen. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of people that you have to have a human standing in front of them, telling them what to do. But man, if you could cut that team in half with AI training as well.
So we've already done that on that side because of the Amazon side. So we had a 20-person training team. It's down to 3.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
The onboarding is crazy how it's fixed the onboarding.
Yeah. So I think if you are listening to this podcast and all of this is over your head, go to AI and ask it how to learn more about AI. That's probably the best way to do it. It is like having the most attentive, smartest assistant, the smartest teacher you could ever have. And you could ask it the dumbest question ever. It never makes you feel bad about it.
And I see people all the time right now in ChatGPT because it's the easiest, cheapest, free thing.
It was the first one.
You can still ask that question to it, and it'll give you a great answer. I mean, it's pretty amazing, but it's changing. Like that was the cool, neat thing. The other part, which we haven't touched on, is everyone that's using the free stuff, don't forget that your information is out there for everybody. So when you start asking unique questions around your dealership or anything else, you're making it accessible to everybody. So that's one thing I will tell you that I learned really quickly. You want the paid version that protects your information that you ask it.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I think there was a quote I heard from some other SaaS company that said basically, if you don't have to pay for the software, then what you're putting in it is what's paying for the software. Like you are you are giving them your information. Free. Yeah, that is why it's free, because they're taking it from you. Yeah, so I mean, all really good things to consider. But you're right. I'm glad we were able to meet today. I love having you on here. I think you, of all the people that all the stores that I've worked with for many years and like watched change and evolve, you have been this entire time one of the leading stores. And I tell stories about you all the time. So I'm glad we finally got you on the show and we're able to catch up on this. But Jason, it was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for being a part of this. And hopefully we'll do it again one day.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching your turnaround of that store too. It was cool. That was
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of anxiety. It was a tough one to get through.
It's real world though. That's real world.
It was, and it was constantly a new fire we didn't expect. So look, next time we have you on the show though, we have to have you physically in the studio. So we'll host you in New Orleans. Have a good time.
Sounds good.
But Jason, thank you so much, man, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, thank you very much.